What's up? This your boy Carcino here, and this is the truth behind hip hop beefs and breakups, and this is the truth behind the breakup between B2K. Yes, B2K, ladies and gentlemen. I've been asked to do this video for about 3, 4 years. Kid you not. And I have kept people waiting 3, 4 years for making this. Because this is like not one of my favorite groups of all time. I mean, they have their own fan base. It's just not like my fan base. So please forgive me. Now, B2K have a ton of fans. And they came up, uh, what was they? New Grain. They came up out of the woodwork. Omarion was already signed, I believe, to Chris Stokes is a family friend. Like he's married, I believe, to the auntie of Omarion or something, or a play aunt, something like that. But he's very close to them. And Marcus Houston was signed with them, and he had Immature at the time. You know, he worked with them. He was Batman, and when they went to IMX, so he was doing those things. Meanwhile, they were looking for the new Immature. Immature had grew up. Marcus Houston was the guy they were going to pretty much work with, and he's going to go solo. Omarion was the next thing that was going to come up, and he can sing, he could dance, he could do all these different things. And they were thinking, okay, let me think about putting Marcus Houston and Omarion in a group. This was going to be the new thing. So, and they were like, you know what, Bow Wow, we can do like an album, probably throw Bow Wow in the mix. This could possibly work. But Bow Wow had different, management, and that was going to be a little hard to do. So, Raz B, J Bugs, and Lil Fizz, they were in another group that didn't pan out. And it was about 5 of them in the band. It didn't pan out. They sent their mixtapes around, and Raz B and the rest of these guys, they were cool with Marcus Houston. He had saw the band before and liked some of them, and you know how people meet each other and settings. So it was Marcus Houston's 18th birthday party, and Chris Stokes was hosting the group, and I mean hosting the party. And Omarion, they saw him singing and dancing and doing his thing there, and then what did they do? They went and talked to Omarion. It was like, this is what we're missing. We need a guy like him. You know what I'm saying? We need that energy in the group. Where they felt in the other group, it wasn't a lot of dance and movement. It was more stand around, you know, more sensuous, smooth R&B soul. In other words, they needed some new energy, and Omarion was it. So they ended up taking a meeting and talked about him joining the group and all this. So Marion was bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. He had done some commercials and things back in his day. So this is just right up his alley. He's cool with all this. So Bow Wow was there, and Bow Wow was gonna be in the group. They thought they was like, man, we still might make this work, and we can get Marcus Houston. Marcus Houston was a little too like, look, I've done the group thing. I'm going solo. We got this IMX thing, but I'm looking towards another direction. Then this will be going backwards for me. So he definitely wasn't interested in joining B2K. So what they had was Chris had the idea of putting this group together, and Bow Wow was cool with him, but it was just not going to work out. As far as Bow Wow being a part of the group, they would have to pay out too much that they didn't even have. And Bow Wow at this time was a big artist. He had big drawing power, meaning more than them. So they would have to pay out more to acquire little Bow Wow. So now you look at another situation where you have, these guys, they coming together and they was like, okay, they harmonizing, coming up with ideas and how they gonna promote it. And Chris is like, okay, don't worry, we're gonna get some people in here to work with you on some songs, and get everything done. They brought in the Dream, they brought in some of everybody, to make this happen as far as production for their work. But getting the chemistry between the group, you know, that had to happen. Now, not everybody, forget what you heard and read, not everybody was really gelled with the idea. They were all kids. Like, these are like 13-year-old kids. So, Raz B was the most out there, like really flamboyant, really, I want to be a part of this. I want to, he's young, he's ready to expand and do these things. Fizz was always cool with everybody, but never really tell you what he's fully thinking. And Jay Boogs was just a solid dude. He was solid. And if you was solid with him, he was solid with you. But he was more reserved and more the grown up out of all of them so much. So, anyway, they get ready to put a deal together because Chris has got to sell this to the record company. So he's got to go to them and make them believe this is a great idea to do. And by them saying, look, we need another pop group, another black pop, young pop act. And look what we did with Immature before they grew up. This can be something new, something fresh. We just got to get these songs out right now. And so they had a video for Ghetto Girls, and they put them up in the video that they was filming for Bow Wow's video. And that was like their first time anybody ever seen them, is when they did that. They did that little cameo in Ghetto Girls. They didn't even have a name yet, I don't think, at that time, because they was trying to work on what they were gonna be called. So they was like, we the boys next door. So at that time, they were calling themselves the boys next door. And they was like, that kind of sounds like the new kids on the block, y'all the boys next door. It's kind of like, nah, it's just whack. So let's keep, playing with that. And then they were like, well, we the Y2K, we the new eras, because we coming into the new year, and everybody was talking that Y2K stuff. So they was B2K, boys of the new millennium. So there you go. And that became the name B2K. And that was the name. And once that hit and everybody agreed on it, they knew it was a hit as soon as they heard it. B2K. That's gonna kick. So when they came out with in 2001, and they put that single out, and people got to see the videos and them moving and dancing and dressing the same, and they were dressing in a different way than everybody else. They was dressing in kind of like what ABC did and Michael Bivins did with ABC. They were in all different type of apparels and different things, but it was new style, more out there. And when they were doing that, they were like, well, we don't know if they rap R&B, but I like they flavor. You had the young girls going crazy over the songs. And when you have professional people making your albums and writing your music, You can't help but to take off. Now the first album went like gold. The B2K, that was the first album, and it was like number two on the Billboard hip hop charts, and it did what it had to do. It got them through the door, but they didn't stop working at all because there was so much money and a lot of people vested into them because they see an opportunity to make some money. So they were like, we got to keep this going. We got to keep popping them out, popping them out, popping them out. So they, and this is what people don't know when it comes to when you're in the business and they're kids. So you're asking 13-year-old kids who's seeing all of this money fly around, all of these, everything they want is at their fingertips, video games, gym shoes. They're kids. So they're not concerned about the money. All of them got like $25,000 when they signed their deal. They all got 25,000 each. And they just wowed out with their $25,000 signing bonus. Some the mothers took the money, of course, but they just wowed out, buying stuff that they didn't need, and they was just happy to be working because it don't normally work the way they did. They was on the Bow Wow tour like immediately, so they were immediately making money. Like that happened like soon as they made the album, put the album out, the album's taking off, they already getting ready for a tour with Bow Wow. IMX is there, and this is why, Marcus Houston was on his last leg with IMX. He was ready to go solo, and he was just finishing out his IMX immature contract so he can just go ahead and go, solo. So he's on the tour. They got Mario on the tour. They got a lot of people that's like on the tour, and they start saying, okay, we got to work on the next album. So in 6 months, they already working on another album. They had made some songs, and songs that didn't make that album rolled over to the next project, which was Pandemonium, their biggest album ever. So when they dropped that in 2002, and they was on the tour, the Scream tour with Bow Wow and that was another successful tour that they had. They were like, I don't know if they were the opening act, but they were on the tour. Bow Wow and them were closing it, and they had all the girls. They had everything going their way. And they had What a Girl Wants, and, all these hit songs on that. And things was just rolling. But changes were happening. And you kind of noticed it as they were getting older and their lives were starting to be affected. Most of them had girlfriends. They couldn't see family members. They couldn't talk to anybody. They were booked. They're getting like one day of sleep. They on the road. Now, when you're kids and you're 13, you could do this all day. Now you've been doing this for like 2, 3 straight years. Here comes, you know, all these different problems. Now, there were a lot of issues that took place. A lot. And one of the things that people started to notice, and we noticed it here in Chicago, you're trying to find the right way to word this situation. Here in Chicago, Illinois, they had the Taste of Chicago, and they were putting in B2K. And B2K was coming out there to do the taste, and that's when we had noticed something was wrong with Raspy. He wasn't he wasn't the same as you've normally seen him before. He seemed like he was gone off like whatever type of drug there was, and he was like so unattached. And people were saying like he was just a little wild and just just out there and spaced out. And when they were promoting this thing, he was just, it's like he wasn't listening. He wasn't connected. He didn't hear anything. He talked like somebody who was, gone off something. And people was like, oh, he had lack of sleep. Y'all had the radio station, so it's early in the morning. We there at 6, 7 in the morning. We just got in. So, they gonna always spin it. So no one will truly ever know. But things were going in a different direction from that point on. Now, rewind that back. Okay, I sped y'all up to that point. Now I'm gonna rewind y'all back. They wanted to take a break. They were burnt out. They were in Orlando and they wanted to go to Disney World or Nickelodeon Studios or something like that. And they were like, look, we want to go check out Disney World or Orlando Studios or something. They deserved a break. They were being pushed so much they felt we need a break. So they were like, look, do you know what's going on here? Do you know what's happening? We we don't have time for all this. And we can't be going through this. And we can't take no breaks. So they went and told everybody, look, they want to take a break. He was like, what? Yeah, they want to take a break. Take a break? Yeah, they want to take a break. So R. Kelly wrote what? I think he wrote like 2, 3 songs. And he had these songs basically for him and gave it to Omarion and was trying to teach Omarion how to sing it. And they brought him on and said, all right, this is what, we gonna do. And get the whole thing down. So Bump, 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 their biggest hit, that was all R. Kelly. That was his song. He muted his vocals and gave Bump, Bump, Bump over to them. Had Puffy on it and everything. Gave that and sold that to them. So when Bump 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 came out, which was their biggest song, he wrote that one and he wrote Girlfriend. All these are R. Kelly's. None of y'all probably didn't even know that. So when they wrote the song and did all this work, they were just doing the performance. So now they're getting their money from the tours and it's coming up short to what they thinking they should be getting. Because Omarion money is good. These guys just signed on and they really don't have, they're signed as a group, but individually, Chris is their manager, but the group is signed. Omarion already had Chris Stokes, so he was already in a deal with Chris. They were like, whoa, wait a minute. Lil Fizz and them like, man, dude, we ain't getting what we supposed to be getting. And Marion, like, he getting all the money. And we ain't getting nothing. And then that's when the problems started to arise. And it was happening on tour. And they was like, oh, well, we got to take this out, and you got to do this, this, and this. They was like, man, this money ain't right. Something ain't right. And while on tour, you got people getting in their ear, talking to them, getting in that ear, talking to them, telling them, look, I need to manage your career, and, this ain't the way to go. You sign with these guys, and this isn't, the right production, and you need to go with us. They're robbing you. They taking this much money. These are teenagers. So if they see that their money ain't right, and their mind ain't right, you know, problems always existed. And David McPherson was there to try to blend and get everything together, teach them how to be professionals and do all this work. And he was doing a lot. Dave McPherson was. That's a guy you guys probably don't hear enough about, but Dave was definitely hands on with helping out with a lot of stuff. And the problems start to ensue when guys start complaining. Fizz was one of the guys who was complaining, but then be like, man, it is what it is, man. He wasn't gonna rock the boat. But you got to look at all of the people that was involved. You got R. Kelly as one of the lead songwriters. You got The Dream. These guys did background vocals, lead vocals. They had to be compensated. It's a lot of people that had to be compensated for the album. So when the album checks is coming in for the album, you were just a performing artist. You wasn't writing songs. You don't have a lot of production credits. It's hard to explain this to children. You're not one of the producers. You get a vocal. You're just the vocals. And you're not even lead. Some of you are background vocals. You see what I'm saying? And guys like Little Fizz, who was doing basically, the rap. That was his thing. Fizz is mostly the rap part of the vocals. He wasn't on Bump Bump Bump, to be actually correct. I hate to tell everybody that, but he really wasn't on that song. So when these problems start to ensue, um, everybody was real animated at the time about what's going on with the group, and we need to talk, and this ain't working out. Chris is stealing money, and it all goes back to Chris because he's the manager. So they looking like, man, my mom's tripping. Everybody who's outside of the situation is complaining because they like, you should have had more money than this. You done did 3 tours in a row. Scream Tour 1, 2, and 3. You just did the movie. You got served. Y'all supposed to be multimillionaires. That's how everybody look at it. So after the awards, and they won the Viewers' Choice Award 2 years in a row, they won Best Group Award, and everybody's like, okay, this is the new group. They taking off. They should be millionaires already because people don't understand how the business works, and they were in position to make a lot of money, but their kids don't know the structure of how their contract was actually made out. But Chris was able to get them in a deal, and guys all wanted to be separated from Chris, except for Amarion. Amarion did not agree with them. They had a team meeting. He wasn't with it. And he was just like, nah, man, that's y'all tripping. Because they've done that before, and then they got a check, like a big fat check, and everybody chilled out, and there was no problems. See, everybody's cool when the money's coming in, but there's problems only when the money ain't there. So all 3 of the other guys said, we got to get our own management. We could stay in the group. We just want to get our own management. So they wanted to fire Chris as the manager and bring in their own management, which caused a lot of problems. And during that whole fallout and everything else after the awards, the movie hadn't even dropped yet. The movie was getting ready to come out for you know What was that? They did Bottle Bone for the You Got Served movie. I actually saw that movie too. Wasn't that bad. Then Chris Stokes announced that the group was splitting up. I mean, he made that announcement. They was just getting new management. That was it. They wouldn't say we want to end the group. They were just like, we ain't finna do this with Chris no more. We gonna have another manager. Chris is like, you know what? They're out. B2K is broken up. That's it. Basically stating that I can just go forward with Amarion and make him a solo star. I don't need the three of them. So they all did solo ventures, right? Fizz was getting his acting thing on. Raz B went to China and tried to be his own record manager. And J Boog and Fizz, they became so tight after everything was over. They became like real homeboys, you know. And they put out an EP together and started doing everything. And you know, they godfathers to each other's children and stuff, man. You know, like it is what it is. But them two became like real tight, like still, you know, one unit. Why, you know, Raz was just out there, so he was just doing his thing. Then uh, all of a sudden, Raz come out, does all of this promo about he want to talk about his life and how he was touched and violated by the manager of the group, Chris Stokes. Blamed him and then accused Marcus Houston also as being involved, saying that there were others involved in this too, and you know, it's up to them to tell their story of what happened to them. And you know, it's just once this was done and everybody was just like, he's just gone crazy, it's the drugs and what happened to Chris, you know. And all of these things were brought back to the forefront. And Omarion, who chose to stay with him, everybody started asking questions about all these things. They venomously denied it and said that, you know, Raspy was lying. He's making it all up. But something must have happened to Raspy. They just don't know what it is. No one knows for sure. No charges was ever brought on Chris. There's no Me Too for men. So nothing was brought up on Chris. Then years down, you know, they sat down and, you know, Marion decided, look, man, you know, he was on a like a VH1 Love and Hip Hop show with Fizz as Marion career started to do just that, Fizz. And him and Fizz ended up colliding on, you know, meeting up on this show to do the Love and Hip Hop thing. Um, those two, they cool with each other. You know, they ain't got no problems, but I wouldn't say they're real personal friends. They just had a work relationship, but they weren't like somebody that was really close. Um, Bugs made an appearance on there a couple of times, and Fizz was trying to get the group back together, but Marion was, you know, doing too many things at the time and hanging out and doing an album with Ray J. So they were trying to look for a replacement. You know, they were talking about Ray J. It was a whole lot of stuff they had on that reality show. So Fizz and J Bugs was like, look, let's put all this to the side and let all that go. And we'll reunite when it's time. So all that garbage went on till they announced that they got a tour together. Marion brought everybody together and they was finna do the tour. So when they announced they finna do the tour, everybody was happy, jumping up and down, and they had Nelly out there. They had everybody was on that tour. Keith Sweat came out doing special appearances. They had KC for Jodeci. You know, Carrie Hilson came out. They had a lot going on at that time, and then they had Yin Yang Twins and Bobby V on there, and everything was going good. You know, it jumped off, and it was a very huge tour at the time for B2K because they saw a lot of money. Then all of a sudden, Raz flips out after a couple of shows and thinking Chris was on the set. He didn't feel comfortable. He was unsafe. He didn't want to have to see Chris Stokes' presence in the group while they was on tour. And it was like, oh my gosh. People were like, man, they worked it out. He went home, got off the tour. They had to talk him back to come back for a couple of shows where he did a couple of shows, man. And, you know, he thanked Omarion for showing him love when he said he claimed nobody else would. And Omarion went through so much to hold it together. And he had a girlfriend. He had a domestic violence case on, so he got arrested. And, you know, because he choked her outside of a Macy's store and all this stuff. They ended up throwing the thing out, but it just did him in from there. And oh my gosh, it's just one mistake after another mistake after another mistake, and you just hope Raz B can get his life back together. So that's how it went down. Mostly it's all about money. If everybody was getting money, you would have never heard no Chris Stokes situation, and about them being young, and they spent like 4 years. You know, that you go from 13 to like 17 and 18, and you're a kid. You don't really understand the business of how it works. You just see everybody else is getting rich, and you putting in all this work, and you don't really have the money you think you having because your album is doing so well. You thinking that's how, you know, you should be paid. And unfortunately, in the music business, it doesn't work that way. And that's why you have lawyers and other management to tell you what's what. So I'm not saying they wasn't stealing from him, because I believe that's what led to the breakup of the group. Once they got new management was going to try to go back for some lost wages and money to see what, you know, they really should have been getting paid, because they didn't have proper representation. So when you have outside people involved, you know, they're going to definitely go find some money. And you know what he said, probably like, yeah, the group's done. We're done. But when you don't write your songs, you don't produce your songs, how much money you think you're going to get for just being the artist, singing the records? Believe me, there's a lot of artists who learned that the hard way. Like Foxy Brown, her royalty checks are very small because she wasn't writing music. You know, so when you don't write your songs, you're not producing your songs, it matters. So don't forget, click one of the videos up here and you will go into the playlist for the television shows. I got one over here for the hip hop bees, and hopefully this explains everything about breakups and hip hop groups. And I'm gonna get out of here, and you can definitely support our page by hitting my Cash App up. Carcino's the name on the Cash App, or you can click the link in the description box and hit up the Streamlab and donate to the page. Thank you. I'm out.